Hi, I'm going to explain in this video how I got access to all of my super well before my retirement age. I have my super with Q Super. So for those overseas people, superannuation is a retirement fund that we put into here over our working career, and then we get access to that money after retirement. So it's a retirement plan and it's mandatory. So for older people such as me, it's not particularly helpful because it came in much later in my career than it is for people now. So it actually isn't enough money to actually live on long term. For people now, it probably would be. So when I was about 50, I had a contract for about 4 years, and then I got put over as a permanent person, and this is with government. So apparently government jobs are very secure, but the team leader I had just couldn't get rid of me quick enough. So after the 6 months, well, the way public service works in this country is you sign an agreement and you just get renewed every 6 months or every year or whatever it is now. So it's just basically a formality. So most of the people that I worked with there had been there for years and years. So this is one of the first jobs I had where I actually started seeing the effects of ageism, and I was about 50 then, or maybe like 49, maybe 49, 48. And I was getting bullied by the 25-year-olds. So, and my team leader there was a 30-year-old. So you can imagine I didn't fit in quite well, so they got rid of me quite quick. Anyhow, cutting a long story short, I had a mortgage at that time, and I was pretty much just coping with the mortgage. And then they didn't renew my contract, and they basically kicked me out of the job, and I couldn't make a payment for about a month, and then the bank was on my back real quick, wanting some sort of a payment, and I made the mistake thinking that if you paid extra each month, you could use that as a safety net in case when times went bad, you could use that extra that you'd have been paying as collateral to cover the shortages of your payments in current times. But no, it doesn't work that way anymore. Well, not with the loan I had. It used to in the 1980s, but not anymore. So it's neither here nor there how many extra payments you make. You still need to make a payment. So it doesn't matter if you're 5 years ahead of payments, you still got to make that minimum payment every single month. So I got caught out red-handed with that. And I had no choice but to sell the house at an undervalue just so I could sell it quick before the bank tried to repossess the house. So by the time I paid back the mortgage and paid for all the expenses and all that, I didn't really have that much money left after that. So while that was going on, I was ringing up the superannuation people and basically begging them, to have access to my super, because that would have kept me going for a long time until I got my stuff sorted out again. So you would think, super being your money apparently, that in times of dire need you would have access to it. But no, it doesn't work that way. So I found out the reason that super really exists is the government just doesn't, they want you to pay for your future. So you pay for it, or your company pays for it, so the government doesn't have to pay you any social security when you're retired. So it's nothing about being your money, it's just the government washing themselves off, protecting your future and basically putting it back in your own hands. So I learnt that lesson when I couldn't even access my own money, apparently my own money. So that quite miffed me off. So after that, I didn't contribute anything extra to my super. I just paid the minimum bare legal amount required by the company to pay, and that was it. So I lost my house. So anyhow, if you're not new to this channel, then you probably know that I've been unemployed for about 4 or 5 years now. I've had a few little odd jobs here and there, but not enough to really pay for anything except for coffees and part bills. So anyhow, I thought, well, I'm going to try and access my super again. So I remember working at some of these larger companies before, and also with public service. They like to take notes of everything you say. So that's another little caution. If you ring up and abuse people, I wouldn't do that, because they make notes now. They make notes of everything. So, and that follows you around as well. So I would ring up the super place and just ask them questions about how to access my super, because I'm borderline being homeless and blah, 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 blah. So that's important. Tip number 1 to access your super is start developing a history with your super that you're in financial trouble. So ring them up a few times, complain that you got no money and say that you need money and blah, 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 blah. And so I did that a few times, and I could tell they were writing it all down because they were pausing in between asking questions. After about a month or two of that, I then went and downloaded because I'm with QSuper, it's called FA36.pdf. So it's a withdrawal from an accumulation account form. So I filled that in. It's quite straightforward. It's just your name, address, tax file number, your banking details. You just sign some stuff. It's very basic. The important part is on page 2, where it's got the withdrawal amount. So it's asking you how much do you want to withdraw. So it says you need to keep a minimum of $10,000 in your accumulation account. Or the other option is, I want to withdraw all my benefit, understanding that means my account will be closed and my insurance cover will be cancelled. So that's the option I chose, to withdraw all of it and close my super. So I put all this form in, and then I wrote a supporting statement just to home it in from the phone calls I've had before. So I just wrote, in support of this application, I would like to also state that I am in financial turmoil. Not having a real job since the first week the COVID lockdown started, I have exhausted most of my savings. Currently, I'm about 2 months behind in rent, and it's only a number of time before I get kicked out. I need new tyres and rego for my car, and I can't afford either. My car is overdue for a basic service, which I can't afford either. Some weeks we have had to live on canned tuna just to keep costs down. Our mobile plans are behind as well. So I really need access to this super, and I signed that. So I sent that form in, and probably within a week I got all the super. So they didn't tell me. I just looked at the bank one day and the entire amount was in my bank account. And then later on I got a notification that my QSuper account had been closed. So, and I got all that at the age of 61. So if you read up on the QSuper website, they basically say you can't really access your super until you get to 65, which I can't remember what term they gave it. Yeah, so it says here generally you can't access your super until preservation age, which is 65. So I got it at 61. So if you're in need of money and you're suffering from ageism, such as me, try what I tried and see if that works for you, because it certainly worked for me. So I'm going to make another video about saying how long my super actually lasted me. So stay tuned for that. Thanks and bye.